news and notes to the coaches and players for America's team, let us go inside the stars on 105.3 The Fan.
Shout out to the 6 a.m. club. Thanks for being a Tolo. That stands for Turn It On, Leave It On. Your home of America's team, where the other day, Mike McCarthy apparently unveiled his plan, his 2024 season plan for the football team. 21-week design that has them finishing in the Super Bowl.
Whoa.
So does this mean like he's a prognosticator? Like week 1 we're gonna lose, week 2 we're gonna go on a 3-game winning streak. Like what is the week by week aspect?
Or it's
of
very
this?
like it's very Howard Dean. You remember that, Chop? We're gonna go to Florida. We're gonna go to North Carolina. We're gonna beat the Patriots. Yeah.
He said we have to have a plan, and I have them for 21. We have a 21-game plan. Laid it out today in the team meeting. Just the overview of it. It's the way I've always done it.
Yeah, I think it's less about prognostication and more about logistics and how they would practice throughout the week, given where they would go, and so it's more just a stay ready so you don't have to get ready kind of thing, where he's just making sure that they have things laid out. Did it happen to say what like Latin phrase he came up with this year that they're going to lean into and really buy in on and then lose by 16 to the Packers?
Did they get rid of the mojo moment? Like
I did not notice the mojo moment at camp. They said they still did it, but I didn't see it.
They did it. They didn't have the announcement. It's time for a mojo, but they were still doing that.
Well,
but it's just it was
not a mojo moment.
No, it doesn't count. And
Yeah,
so
you've got to have the music.
Look, he drew a line in the sand. And he's like, after last year, no more mojo moments for you guys.
Clarence Hill unveiling more of his conversation with Jerry Jones on the status of Mike McCarthy. Part 1 was about Jerry saying no effing GM could come in here and do as good a job as me, which of course is a hilarious joke. But I'll bring you some of what Chill wrote. When asked at the start of training camp why he didn't give McCarthy a contract extension, by the way, Mike McCarthy will join us live Friday at 6:30 for the first of his weekly sessions throughout the year. Jerry's response back was Green Bay. Quote, I admit this, the Green Bay thing. When we lost to them, we basically had everyone say, okay, what are you going to do about this? This wasn't just a game. What are you going to do about it? And so it got the attention of everything we do. Jones started the offseason talking about being all in and ended training camp trying to weed out complacency and turning up the heat on his team. So the overall idea in this, and Bobby even said he went back and listened to the breaking news of McCarthy returning and our reaction and the rage and the anger and the disbelief throughout the Metroplex. What are you going to do, Jerry Jones? What are the changes? You can't stand for this. Stop just sitting there and being okay with not making the NFC Championship game in 30 years. So Jerry's thought was, I'm not going to dramatically change the team. I'm going to turn up the heat on everyone. That's what's coming through in this piece. Quote, I don't know that there's any more urgency. So he's trying to kind of do this for the fan base, like in terms of telling you, we're not going to reward people with contracts that don't deserve them. I'm going to have everyone on edge. Everyone is on notice. So I kind of understand. I found myself agreeing a lot with what Jerry Jones was telling Clarence Hill in this, because if they gave McCarthy the extension, we would have lost our minds. Choppy probably would have understood it like a little bit more just in terms of not having that lame duck coach. You give Dak Prescott that immediate extension, many of us except for Bobby are losing our minds. You reward people. So this is his way of trying to threaten them with this uneasiness heading into the year.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like, and that's what it sounds like he's telling Clarence specifically, but that runs completely counter to what he said after the last preseason game, where they were talking about, hey, how have you noticed McCarthy handling this being on a one-year deal? And he tried to go, I've never known somebody to change their ways just because they don't have a contract. What are you talking about? That's crazy.
Right.
And so it's a little bit inconsistent. I'll say this. He keeps mentioning Green Bay. In previous years, they kept mentioning San Francisco. So 2 examples of people who hear the noise here in Dallas in a good way and a bad way are Trayvon Diggs and, in the past, Taco Charlton. Taco Charlton heard criticism, had rabbit ears, and it would just destroy his confidence. Trayvon Diggs hears it, and it levels him up, and he internalizes it and goes, screw you, I'll show you. And there's 2 different reactions to it. At what point do you say talking about San Francisco, talking about Green Bay, when does it cross over from motivating factor to you are obsessed and distracted now?
I don't think they're obsessed with Green Bay.
I think Jerry might be.
No,
who cares?
Who's burned out, man?
He's trying to. He's just trying to. I think he's trying to appease the fan base, and he's trying to let it be known to us. I'm not just filing it away.
Yeah.
This is a scar. It was embarrassing. I want you to know I'm humiliated by it, and I'm going to act upon it. I think it's a little bit more of a PR thing.
I don't think the players or the team is obsessed with Green Bay. They still are. I would think far more obsessed with San Francisco than Green Bay.
Move on.
Agreed.
I don't
obsessed with the team, but not obsessed with Green Bay as a team, but obsessed with that result and what happened
Sure.
that day.
I mean, they're like.
Well,
Yeah,
do you
they're
not think that the Mavericks were obsessed with the first round playoff loss to the Warriors?
Sure, yeah, that's why I say I think it can be good. It's just when does it cross over from motivating factor to you're now distracted by it?
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know.
If they're distracted by it, then that's on them. They need to be distracted by it or obsessed.
It won't
by
be. It won't matter. Like it won't matter when they're playing a team they're better than because they beat those teams always. They have.
Except when it's January.
Yeah, except when it's January or the other quarterback just plays out of his mind.
Jerry continues with Clarence Hill. I don't know that there's any more urgency, but I have tried to look at places that we are complacent or ways not to be complacent. I'm looking for ways to make sure they can't say that I've got some kind of structure that breeds complacency. It can be contracts, it can be conversations, it can be player decisions. But here's the overall thing I have heard from fans with even more emotion after the Green Bay game and still hearing from. You need to make some changes, and I'm still hearing it. I didn't make many changes, but within the realm of not making those changes, totally changing people out, I tried to turn up the heat on myself and everyone involved, and I think that's what's being discussed. I think that's why the angst was there. I think we've all put ourselves in an uneasy spot, and you guys in the media have helped us. Be uneasy. And I don't know that we all deliberately set out to say our motto is don't be comfortable, be uneasy. I don't believe we've said that, but boy, to some degree, we have done it.
What's the Latin for that? Don't be comfortable, be uneasy. That sounds like a lot.
Jones is as fond of McCarthy as any coach he's had. Quote, he's one of the ones. He relates to players, and the players relate with him as well as anyone I've ever been around, coach or otherwise. Whether in my college or professional life, he has a special understanding of our pro game. He's certainly been schooled and indoctrinated in the NFL. He has very good credentials. He's done it. I like his game day management. I personally am impressed with his game day management, and he's a very hard worker. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. I can see why. So that's Jerry with his PR messages and his Mike McCarthy pats on the back while Mike is on a 1-year deal.
It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of talking there.
A lot of words there.
Not just there, but in general. Like it's an off season of words. It's not an off season of production. It's not an off season of change. It's an off season of words.
I think he thinks he's doing the fan base a solid by saying, look, I'm not going to reward these guys. Pressure needs to be on them. And if they come up short again, then we're going to have changes around here. I think that's the message.
And I think he would.
Which I would like from a fan point of view.
What I don't know if he would be willing to say publicly, but I think is the reality is part of rewarding them in his mind would be paying them to go sit on a beach. Like, no, you're not going to be, you're not just going to get a year off fully paid. You're going to see this through, and you're going to see this through to the end. I'm not paying you to do nothing for me. You're going to contribute to this, and you're going to fix it is what you're going to do.
Choppy, you are what?
The Franklin injury attorney's fan text from the 817. Jerry is turning into the Russell Wilson of GMs, and he's oblivious to it.
Oblivious to what?
That he's turned into the Russell Wilson of GMs.
Oh.
Like I can take that two ways. One, good start to the career, and then torpedoing at the end, or just a talker, a corny talker, a fraud, whatever you want to say.
I mean, I don't see how any of that applies. I don't see. I mean, Russell Wilson.
I think he's a better GM now than he's been for most of the time he's been.
Actually, he really is. Like that is true because their roster is very, very good, and it has been for, I don't know.
And you were studying the roster, the final depth chart, or the latest released depth chart.
Yes. Does it even matter, though? Because they had released their first unofficial, whatever, official depth chart, And Zeke is the starter at running back as predicted. And he will get the first carry of the year as predicted. I don't care who the depth chart is. I care who gets the most carries or who plays the most important snaps. I don't care who starts the game. That's more of a pat on the back kind of thing, right? But if Zeke gets 20 carries and the other guys combine for 4, we got ourselves a problem.
Yeah, I mean, Julius Jones was the starting running back on this team in 2007, and he was not the team's main running back. That was Marion Barber. And that was something where it was Julius Jones basically got the first quarter and nothing else. I do think Zeke's going to get more than the first quarter, and it'll probably be pretty close to a 50-50 split with Dowdle, but I don't know. Over the course of training camp, my thought has shifted a little, and I've thought Zeke would be a little behind Dowdle. I think he might be a little ahead of him now in terms of workload.
Does it matter that Leofau is ahead of Overshown?
You okay, Sean?
It's just like you have gone into the year sabotaging your entire run game.
Mm-hmm.
You basically went and took a gun in the running back room and shot one person in the foot. And you're like, go out there and produce and help out our passing
Cheddar
game.
Bob.
Just because he runs like that doesn't mean he was actually shot in the foot.
It's like, when's the last time we've ever gone into a Cowboys? Is it Joseph Randle? We even had more hope with that. When's the last time you were as down on their running game?
Oh, I think there was way more hope with Randall. He was meat on the bone for a reason. Like, people thought, like, he's going to get his chance and he's going to step up and he's going to do this now. And people were mad at DeMarco Murray. So this is similar. We've made the comparison all offseason, but it feels very much like the approach to the receiver room in 2018 after they let Dez go.
They tried to go new school with the running back approach. They just completely misread the handbook. You're supposed to go cheap and young. Right?
Yeah.
Cheap and young, not cheap and old. You want cheap and young. You want guys like who have never you want guys who barely played a year of college football. That's what you want.
Where are the Cowboys going to finish this year? Hot take, prediction time, in rushing yards per game. Top, middle, bottom of the league.
Half. They'll be in
the top half.
Yeah, because they're going to have 12 wins or 11 wins, and by default, that's going to have more rushing attempts.
Ooh.
So, yeah, now yards per carry, maybe not, but, yeah, they'll be in the top half of yards.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of total yards, I could see them being in the top half just because of a stubbornness to run the ball. But, yeah, in terms of efficiency, like how well they are carrying the bottom third.
Yeah.
Bottom third. Last year, Tampa Bay was the worst in the league, 3.4 yards a carry, 89 yards a game. Then Cincinnati at 89.8 at 4 yards a carry. Then you had the Raiders, Vikings, Seattle, Commanders, New England as the worst rushing teams in football. They're going to be bottom third.
Well, that was 3.4 for the Buccaneers, right? Okay, well, Dalvin Cook last year got 3.2 and Zeke got 3.5. So sounds like a good middle there.
They'll be in that 3-something per carry. Their total yards, though, will be higher.